How's it going, everyone? I'm Tom Bellotti, the most famous person you've ever heard of. Welcome back to my blog. When I last left off, I was speaking about when it is I first saw that photograph of Tony and I in Louisiana. Now, let me take you back to that day. When Tony and I were taken from where that picture was taken, we went to go live with Van Don Kali. And that was kind of weird. You know, we stayed with him for a day or two, and then we had a court session where it was me in the room alone with Judge Thibodeau. And the judge who resided over this mock case it's also the name of the town where we lived, Thibodeau. So that's kind of weird. Where, you know, was his family the forefathers of that town? I'm not exactly sure what the history is. I just know that they share the same name. And you know, in the hearing, I remember it like it was yesterday. You know, he just asked me a few questions, and you know, what about my parents. I just let him know that I didn't really know much about my father because I always lived with my mom. I let him know about some experiences I had with my father getting mad or something over using too much milk in my cereal. But other than that, I didn't really have anything to talk about. But I said I have a good, you know, things are good with my mom, and that was pretty much it. You know, I mean, he did ask me a couple of questions that were related to my mother and my father, but it was, you know, it was all a sham. There was no courtroom reporter in there. There was no attorney, no one that was representing my mother. It was just me and the judge. And I guess that's not something that really started happening until, you know, here recently with these immigrant children being stripped from their parents and sitting in front of a judge without any type of representation. You know, so I know firsthand how that is. The same thing happened with my brother Tony. I don't know what was said in that room, but shortly after that, we went back to go live with, you know, the officer Van Don Kali, the person whose knee my mother bit. He had a nice house. Him, his wife, and his daughter, they were all really nice. They had a pool table. Tony and I used to play pool at where my mother worked. She was a manager of a bar not far from where our house was, and we would play pool on the pool tables. I was barely, you know, tall enough to reach and see over the table, but you know, I like playing pool. I can get on my tippy toes and knock the balls around, and after doing it for a while, you know, became, you know, pretty good at it. And you know, Van Don Kali had a pool table at his house, so Tony and I would spend a lot of time shooting pool. And one time there was this accident. I just got through making a shot. I'm on the back of the table, and I have my pool cue. Let's pretend this is the pool cue, and this is the edge of the table. And I just made my shot, my head sticking right up above the table. And when I went to just grab my stick, I had most of it was over there, and I just grabbed it and pulled it straight up. But there was the pool table light right over there, and the pool cue broke it. There's glass everywhere. You know, they come and they ask what happened. I told them about, you know, what happened. I was really sorry, and yeah, they were really cool about it. They were just, you know, things happen, of course, you know, but obviously there was no more playing pool after that. I think it was like another 2 days later, and me and Tony were just taking a little walk in the woods, not too far from the house. We come across this little clubhouse out there by itself, and when we go inside, we can see that someone was taking care of and breeding mice, a whole bunch of white mice. And you know, we thought they were really cool. They were very tame. We can pick them up and play with them, and you know, we'd go to the clubhouse every now and then. After a few days, we grabbed a whole bunch of these mice, and we were taking them back to the house, not really thinking anything of it. And I come in the house, and I got this handful of white mice in my hand, and his daughter just came out of the shower and she's in a towel, and one of the white mice escapes my hand and goes scurrying right by her feet, and she starts screaming and her mother starts screaming. Everyone's going crazy. I mean, I didn't know what was up. I was just, playing with these little mice. I'm 5 years old. Yeah, so I dropped all the other ones, and the next thing you know, I guess we gotta find all the mice in the house. So after that day, Vando and Kelly came home, and I guess, his wife and his daughter had enough of Tony and I staying there in our shenanigans. Not that we meant any ill harm or anything like that. We were just, two rambunctious kids, and we were from the city. We were used to, I don't know, I guess we were more high strung than they were back there in Louisiana. After we brought the mouse back to the house, I guess that we've overstayed our welcome. And shortly after that, we went and stayed at a foster home. We were probably only at the foster home for about a week and a half. And then, George came and picked us up. And we went to live in New York. While all of this is going on, my mother is wondering where we are. Where we lived, it was such a small area, and it seems like everyone knows everyone. The mayor was the main employer for the parish, and one of the assistants to the mayor just so happened to have the check that my father wrote to the judge. It was made out in the judge's name, Tupido, and they were just so brash that they made sure that they brought it by where my mother worked so she can see it. The check was made out to Judge Tupido, signed by my father, George Bellotti, to $10,000. That's just insane. And this is my mother telling the story when she saw the check.
And the person that worked for the mayor came into Tutu, and where I was working, and he showed me the check, and he said, "I can't believe that he did business with that Yankee."
After my mother sees this check, and she knows who was, responsible in taking away the kids, she's trying to talk to Judge Tupido. But when she finally went to go speak with him, she was told that he is away on an extended vacation. Here she is speaking about that as well.
Secretary just said that Judge Thibodeau was on an extended vacation with his family.
Well, shortly after this, my mother, she's had a nervous breakdown. Her kid's just been taken away from her. And she's basically at the lowest point of her life. I'm sure if any of you have children, you can only imagine what it would be like to have your children taken away just out of the blue with no cause. And so she, I don't know how she found solace, but she ended up meeting David Hastreiter, who turned out to be her future husband, and he was quite the bane of my existence for quite a while as well. We'll get into a lot of those stories. But it's kind of nuts. Shortly after a lot of this happened, and getting no answers from Judge Tupido, my mother had a nervous breakdown. And things went pretty bad for her. And as you can only imagine, after having her two children taken away from her. So, I think Okay, on the next episode, what I'll be talking about is how it is that my father was able to have these connections to do these things in Louisiana. You know, not anyone with $10,000 to just go up and pay the powers that be off to just take people's children away. You've got to have some type of connection within the criminal organization. So I'll be talking about what that connection was, briefly about what it is, the purpose that my father had for my brother and I, and why he wanted us so badly, and some of the things that Tony and I went through while staying with him for a little bit. And then I'll be done talking about this chapter of my life. I'll be talking about the things that happened to me in January 12th, 2013. So stay tuned for that. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And I hope you'll enjoy. Have a good day.